Hi everybody, how's it going? I know it's a little late in the day to be having my morning coffee at 11:30, but I'm doing it because I didn't get to have my coffee earlier. My son had a 5-year-old birthday party in school. They made this cute little 5-year-old little crown for him. It's very sweet. Anyway, I am here on Wednesday in the Ultimate Baby Sleep Group to answer your questions. Now, for those of you who are new, and I'm going to do a new video pinned post probably in the next few days so all of you can, understand how this group works. But for those of you who aren't sure where the questions are that I'm answering them here. Ask your questions about early rising. Okay, so that's where I am now. How it works is every week on Mondays, we have a thread with a certain theme. Sometimes it's newborn sleep, sometimes it's napping, sometimes bedtime battles, night wakings, all these different things. And every week we have a different theme, and people on that thread from that theme can go in and post all their questions. So this week it was about early rising. So what I'm going to do is go through all the questions here in the early rising thread. And for those of you who have been here for a few weeks, it's a pretty new group. We just started it, but you know why I do this. There is some reason to my madness. I do that because when I have a random question about a 3-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 2-week-old and an 8-month-old and napping and early rising and this and that, it gets very difficult to answer everyone's questions. I do my best, but there's like no rhyme or reason, and I find people aren't helped as much. So what I started doing and what I thought was a good idea for this group is we have this, and then you'll start seeing a certain undercurrent with everyone's questions that they ask. Today we're going to talk about early rising, and you're going to hear me saying the same ideas over and over and over. So even if you didn't necessarily ask your question, you're going to learn a lot about early rising because you're going to see how I'm answering everyone else. But let me take a quick sip of my steaming hot coffee. But I think what I'm going to start doing, because as the group is growing, I'm seeing a lot of you posting questions, and I want to be there for you. I can't always obviously respond to each question. I think another time a week, I'm going to just come in and hop in here, and you can kind of pick my brain on any sleep question that you are having, because I want to be able to help you. And I don't want you to feel, you're joining this group because you want to start sleeping through the night, and that's what you can do if you follow all of the advice and instructions we talk about. But if you don't necessarily have a question that falls under the weekly thread, I don't want you to feel like you have to wait 5 weeks or wait 2 weeks to ask your question. And I want to be there for you. Obviously, if I'll try to respond to you as much as I can, but I think I'm going to start coming in another day a week and just hopping in and saying, hi, I'm here, pick my brain. So I'll let you know when I start doing that. Probably it'll be sometime over the weekend, maybe in the evenings, because that's when I'm available. But let's start going through the questions in the early rising thread. All right, let's start. Sarah, this is our biggest problem with our 21-month-old. We put him to bed around 7, and no matter what, he wakes up around 5 every day. And I want you to know about early rising. We all know that 5:59 and 6 a.m. is much longer than a minute. When your kids are waking up in the 5s versus waking up in the 6s, even though it's only a few minutes difference, it feels a lot more because waking up in the 5s is hard. So I get you, Sarah, okay? Your 21-month-old takes one nap every day from 12:30 to 2:30 or 3. Okay, so he's taking about a good 2.5-hour nap. And he wakes up at 5 every single day. You have blackout shades and a sound machine. You do consistent bedtime, bath routine. What is going on? Okay, so Sarah, I want you to know, and this is for all of you who are asking your early rising questions. Despite what you might think, early rising, which usually happens for toddlers around 2.5, but I'm sure a lot of you here, I'll go through the thread and have questions for younger babies. Maybe I shouldn't drink coffee next time because I keep stopping to drink it. Anyone who's suffering from early rising, despite what you might think, early rising is usually most frequently caused by being overtired, right? Now you're going to probably think, video's freezing. Uh-oh, my video is freezing. Tell me if you can hear me now. Hopefully it's working. Let me know, Allah, if you can hear me now when I'm trying to talk. I have to fix my Wi-Fi maybe here on my phone. So I'm going to keep talking, and if for some reason it keeps freezing, let me know if you can't hear me, okay? But early rising happens because a child is overtired. People usually think, oh, well, my toddler is waking up at 4:30 a.m. for the day or 5 a.m. for the day. Maybe I just need to make bedtime later, and then they're automatically going to wake up later. Opposite is true. It comes and goes with Allah. Okay, fine, sorry. We'll do our best. Next time we'll just have to fix this. I'll try to fix my little phone thing here, but sorry guys. Anyway, so you think that you're going to put your child to bed later and automatically they're going to sleep in later, but the opposite is true. The later you put your child to bed, the more overtired they are getting, and you're just causing them to continue waking up early. So for you, Sarah, for your 21-month-old who is going to sleep at a decent hour, taking a decent nap, what I actually suggest doing is making sure you didn't put what time you do bedtime, or you put him to bed around 7 no matter what. If you're 21-month-old, oh, you're here. Let's say I can't put him to bed earlier. Okay, good. So let's say you're not able to put him to bed earlier, but in your case, I actually wouldn't recommend that. I was just giving you a general idea of typically early rising and the problems people make. But in your case, Sarah, he's sleeping a good 2 to 2.5 hours every single day. No, that's fine. Don't worry that you can't get him to bed earlier. I'm not going to tell you to do that in his case. He's sleeping a good 2.5 hours every single day. And because of that, his nap could very much be compensating for night sleep. All sleep is a 24-hour cycle. So your 21-month-old Sarah only needs a certain amount of sleep within 24 hours. And when he gets a certain quota in the night, plus the quota during the day, he only needs that much sleep. So he could actually be waking up at 5 a.m. because he's getting enough sleep. Now, I'm not going to tell you to make bedtime earlier, because in your case, that's not what I would recommend. Generally, that's what I do tell people to do, but in your case, I'm not going to tell you to do that. What I would tell you to do is actually try to shorten the length of his nap, if possible. Now, he's 21 months. He still needs a good nap, but I would try to have it be more on the hour and a half to 2 hour mark. If he's at daycare, I'm assuming because you get home from work, you said at 6:30, try to have them gently, gradually wake him up from his nap. Now, I know this goes against every single fiber of your motherhood being, just because, oh my goodness, well, why would I do that? He's sleeping. You're never supposed to wake up a sleeping baby. But in his case, that might help. Now, you got to try that for about a week or so. One of two things will happen, Sarah. Either you'll see, oh, he's starting to sleep later in the mornings. Great. It's self-corrected. Or you'll see, wait a minute, now he's really overtired because he's waking up early, still waking up early, and I'm waking him up from his nap, and he's a total disaster mess. So if it doesn't work shortening his nap, which it could go 50-50, then I really recommend actually making his bedtime later. Even though I told you in the beginning here not to do that, most cases I will tell people not to do that. But in your case, he's taking a solid, awesome nap. And if making the nap earlier doesn't help make mornings later, then I would actually recommend, and go back, if it doesn't work after that initial week, Sarah, go back to the naps of 2.5 hours in the afternoon. And then instead of having bedtime 7, try to slowly bump it to 7:15 for a few days. And then after that, bump it to 7:30. And then slowly try to get it a little bit later. So the ultimate goal is he's going to bed around 7:30, 7:45. Now, after you do that, it doesn't mean magically a week later he's going to start sleeping later. The only way a week would be able to determine if that's successful is if you do this nap method. But with shifting his internal clock completely, it can take a good 3 or 4 weeks of continuing to put him to bed every night at 7:30, 7:45, and he's still going to wake up at 5 a.m. But at least he'll have that good nap, and if you do it over and over, he will start sleeping later in the mornings if that first way doesn't work. I would try the nap method first. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if that doesn't work, then move to bumping bedtime later. Now, I want you to know, when you're trying to shift internal clocks, especially with early rising, whether, and I'm going to go through all the questions here, whether or not you're making a bedtime earlier or you're making a bedtime later, this is one of, I'm not going to say the most difficult issues, because it's not hard to deal with, but it's just a matter of doing it consistently over and over, because it's not a magical potion. We're trying to really shift his internal clock to be used to new time frames, and it's almost as if you're kind of molding that, and it can take, like I said, a good 3-4 weeks to do that. What time should that nap be? You can keep his nap around the same time. I wouldn't make it earlier, wouldn't make it later. Still offer the nap around 12:30ish like you are. With the first attempt, just cap it at an hour and a half, maybe 2. Like I said, try that for a week. It'll go one of one ways, Sarah. Either you'll see it's awesome, he's sleeping later in the morning, things are great, or you'll see he's a disaster, overtired mess, waking up early, you're waking from his nap, it's not good. Then go this other method of keeping the nap the same time and bumping bedtime to be slightly later. But like I said, doing that will work. That will work, but it will take a good few weeks to help his internal clock adjust. And it's just the name of the game. It takes some time. Okay, let's see. But let me know how it goes, and if you have questions, and let me know which way you end up deciding to go with it, because I want to know how that works. Okay, Jackie, you are gently sleep training your 4-month-old over the weekend. Oh, you started over the weekend, and it's going great. No tears. She's already resetting herself most. Okay, that's amazing. I'm happy to hear it's going well. You do bedtime based on wake times from her last nap. Amazing. You're doing everything I would tell you to do. You've been watching the videos here. Bedtime ends up being around 7, 8 p.m., but she's been waking up around 5 a.m. She seems wide awake, ready to play. You've been nursing her back to sleep because you're just not ready to wake up. We're aiming for 7 a.m., but before that, she just starts daycare next week. How can we get her to wake up later? So here's my question for you, Jackie. I don't know if you are on, wondering if at 5 a.m. your 4-month-old goes back to sleep. Because if your 4-month-old is going back to sleep at 5 a.m. and then waking at 7, 5 a.m. is not really called early rising. It's called night waking because she's waking up at 4 a.m., nursing, and going right back to sleep. So if that's happening, then I want to tell you to watch the video we did a few weeks ago on night wakings, or soon we're going to start, oh, you're here, great. So soon we're going to start going through, in a few weeks, we're going to talk about night feedings in detail and hunger and habit and how to get baby's body adjusted. But since you're here, Jackie, let me know. At 5 a.m., is your baby going back to sleep after you nurse her? And you're just calling it early rising, or is she really waking up and starting her day at 5 a.m.? I'm going to take a sip of my coffee while you answer me. And we'll see what you have to say. Coffee is just so good. I'm telling you. I love it. Okay. So you didn't write me back yet. I'm going to assume if your baby's waking up at 5 a.m., nursing and going right back to sleep, it's a night waking issue. It's not an early rising issue, which is separate. We treat it completely differently. But if you're going to tell me she goes back to sleep sometimes, okay, so then it could be early rising, right? Because you're starting your day off at 5 a.m. So what I recommend doing is, this is all going to be stemming for a 4-month-old. Yes, it's stemming from overtiredness, like I said in the beginning, but you have a totally different situation than I just told Sarah with her 21-month-old. In your case, you need to really redistribute the day's sleep because it's a balance, although obviously you don't want to miss that sleep window, and I'm assuming that you're basing wake time based on whether your own reading or thing that you've seen in the group. That sweet spot for sleep is critical. Keeping your baby overtired is obviously going to make naps horrific and everything thwart negatively out of control. And it sounds like you've worked so hard to have a good daytime routine, but you want to reconfigure that slightly. So if she's waking up at 5, that means she's already ready to go down for her nap at 7. My goodness. So you want to balance everything out, and it all starts in the morning. The days she wakes up at 5 and goes back to sleep, amazing. Then you start your day whenever she wakes up, 6, 6:30, 7, 8. But the day she doesn't wake up, doesn't go back to sleep, that means she's starting her day at 5. And what that means is some days she's waking up at 5 a.m. and some days she's waking up at 7 or 7:30 a.m. That independently can cause a child to be overtired. Overtiredness doesn't always mean being awake too long. It doesn't always mean naps being not distributed evenly. Overtired can mean so many things, but overtiredness for early rising means that it's inconsistent, and one day starts at 5 and one day starts at 8 and one day starts at 7. You want to nip this in the bud by making sure mornings start the same time every day. Now you might be wondering, how am I supposed to do that? Of course I want my mornings to start at 7, but they're starting at 5. So number one, anytime she wakes up at 5 a.m., treat it as if it is completely the middle of the night. Just like if she would wake up at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., you wouldn't give up after 5 minutes and turn on the lights and say, forget it, I'll wake up. No way. It's the middle of the night. You're exhausted. So number one, Jackie, treat that 5 a.m. as if it is the middle of the night. No lights, no talking, no stimulation. Keep it dark and do whatever you possibly can to get her back to sleep. Now, either it will work or it won't work. If it works, amazing. If it works, then you want to make sure that you have a consistent time you're starting your day. Don't just let it be haphazard that, okay, fine, one day she sleeps till 9 and the next morning you wake her up at 6:30 because you have an appointment to run. Make sure that whatever routine you're creating starts consistently the same time every day. So you're waking her up every day around 6:30 or 7, around 7, 7:30. It doesn't have to be exact, but I would like to see things range within no more than 20, 30 minutes every day because, like I said, that predictability is very important for our internal clock. That's if she falls back asleep. If she doesn't fall back asleep, what are you going to do? So what you want to do is it's a balance of making sure you don't miss her sleep window, but also making sure you stretch it out slightly, that it's not that one day bedtime is 4 p.m. after all the naps and the wake time, and the next day bedtime is 7 p.m., right? We want to make sure she still goes to bed around the same time every night because that's what's going to thwart consistent mornings. And I was just talking about this with another group, one of my sleep groups that I started yesterday, because one of the mothers, I think it was even both of them, but one of them more than the other, has a baby that wakes up consistently very early. So what you want to do then is if at 5 a.m. you've tried for 10 minutes, for 15 minutes, for 20 minutes, and you're nursing her and it's dark and it's quiet, but she's like climbing all over you and playing and has no interest in going back to sleep, you're going to judge the next nap by when she woke up, right? So if, let's say, her sleep window is 2 hours, could be it's shorter or longer, I'm just making that up. Let's say that that's how long it is. She wakes up at 5. That means by 7, she is ready to go to sleep. But instead of winding her down 10, 15 minutes before 7 to make sure she's exactly asleep at 7, start a little later to stretch her out a little bit more. So start winding her down at 7 with the goal that she's asleep by 7:15. And then hopefully she'll make up for lost sleep, take a really good nap. And then again, the next window, stretch her out a little bit more between naps, not drastically, but that way bedtime will end up being still only about 20, 30 minutes earlier than what it normally is. And consistent bedtime, meaning the timing of bedtime, the same time every night, is what's going to make your mornings more even. Because you wrote sometimes at 7, it's between 7 and 8 p.m. That could mean sometimes it's 6:30 and sometimes it's 8:30. I want to see it within 20, 30 minutes, Jackie. So I want to see it around, depending on what her schedule looks like, around 7:20, around 7:30. It's not exact. She's not a robot. She's not a machine. I don't ever want to see that because we're talking about babies here, right? But I do want to see that the nights are happening around the same time every night with bedtime because, like I said, that's what's going to thwart the consistent mornings. So you have to take control of the situation and say, all right, I'm going to make sure the mornings start at whatever time that I can control, 7:30, whatever it is. And conversely, if the morning doesn't start because she woke up too early and you can't control it, fine. At least do your best to slightly stretch out those windows so bedtime happens the same time. Okay, awesome, Jackie. Let me know how it goes because this is the key for her, all right? Mary. Hi, Mary. Okay, let's see. My 2.5-year-old wakes up every morning at 4:30 or 5:30. Oh my goodness, 4:30 is really early. You will need a bigger cup of coffee than I am drinking right now. You're more than exhausted? Okay. I bet you are. Okay. She's ready to party for the day. She gets one nap from 12:30 to 2 or 3. I'm seeing similarities here to Sarah's question we asked a few minutes ago. You put her to bed at 7:30. Even if she slept until 6, you'd be much happier and more energetic. Okay, so I'm actually, Mary, going to tell you to do the same thing because it's an older child. But in your case, actually, I'm thinking, I want to tell you, Mary, children transition out of taking one nap. It varies, but most often it's between really 2.5 to 3 years old is the average. But sometimes it can be earlier because that's just averages. And hello, our children don't always fall under statistics. I'm wondering actually if your 2.5-year-old might be ready to drop the nap completely. And I didn't tell this to Sarah because Sarah is only 21 months. You're talking about a good 2.5-year-old. So that's, a good 8 months older than her baby. It's very possible early rising can be caused with your 2.5-year-old by just getting too much day sleep. Like I told Sarah, have a certain amount of sleep quota during the day, and if your 2.5-year-old is sleeping a lot during the day in the afternoon, is waking up rested, happy, refreshed, it sounds like at 4:30 a.m., might be time to drop the nap. Okay, I just spoke about this on my page actually because this has been a really big issue. I'm getting a lot of emails about it. And in my own home, my 2-year-old, she is 2 and 2 months, which is super young to drop a nap, but you know what? She was doing the exact same thing. Going down beautifully for her nap, taking a good 2-hour nap every day. Everything was great, but she was waking up. Oh no, she had the opposite problem. She was waking up later in the morning, but wasn't falling asleep till late at night. But it's the same thing here. I recommend trying to drop the nap and seeing how it goes. Now, it's not going to be magical, especially because your 2.5-year-old, Mary, is used to sleeping for 2 hours every single afternoon. But if you get her used to dropping this nap, it's very possible she'll start compensating for the sleep in the night. Now, it's not an easy transition when a child's getting used to not napping when their body has adjusted and always been acclimated to sleeping during the day. Suddenly going a full 11, 12 hours is like a massive jump. But distract her, keep her happy, try to do whatever you can. Probably in the 4s, 5s, she's going to have meltdowns. Going to be really cranky. Try to push it out. You can't judge if a nap is working, though, before a week or a week and a half or so. So try it and see if it starts improving itself. If not, there's a lot of other things we can do, but I think that's the best place for you to start. All right, moving on down the list. Anne, who is a past client of mine. How you doing, Anne? Anne said Gus is still a great sleeper. Okay, Gus is her younger baby that we worked on, but her older one, Levi, has started waking up at 4:30 and refuses to go to sleep. You make him come into your bed and stay in your room until 5 because I'm assuming you want to stay sleeping. And he's been waking up for the past 2 weeks and shows none of that. Oh, he gets a show when he wakes up for the past 2 weeks. So you turn on the TV for him so you can go back to sleep. He's 4.5 years old, and it's to the point where he doesn't want to do something like go back to sleep. He won't. He fights it. Please tell me. You want him to go back to sleep and sleep past 5:30 or 6. So a 4.5-year-old, I'm assuming, Anne, you didn't write that he's napping here. That's just my phone ringing that I forgot to turn off, so sorry. You didn't write that he's napping, and I'm assuming a 4.5-year-old isn't napping. And if he is napping, get rid of it completely because If he's waking up early and he's 4.5, nothing to talk about with naps. But I'm assuming he's not napping because I think you even told me when we worked together a while back that he had dropped his nap around then, about a year ago. What I would recommend doing in this case is the opposite. So in the beginning, remember, I told you early rising is caused by overtiredness. But just to recap, remember, overtired can mean a lot of different things. And even though some of you, I am going to tell you to make bedtime earlier, in some situations, the opposite is true. Early rising is much more systematic in terms of each individual situation. It's not like a generic Band-Aid, like do this and it'll fix your problem. So I would tell you, depending on when he's going to sleep, and I think you should make bedtime a little bit later or a little bit earlier. I wish I knew what time he was going to sleep, so I'll tag you here and you'll post in the comments below, because if you're going to tell me he's going to bed at 6 or 6:30 p.m., then when he's waking up at 5, he slept a good 11 and a half hours. That's as much sleep as his body needs. But if you're going to tell me he's going to bed at 8:30 p.m. or 9 p.m., then that's way too late and he's waking up because he's overtired. See how it can go either way? So let me see what's going on. I'm going to tag you here in the comments below and you'll tell me what time bedtime is, because that's kind of the determining factor which way you want to go. But either if it's too early, you're going to make it later, and if it's too late, you're going to make it earlier. Totally contradicting advice, right? But it really depends on what's going on with him. Okay, Ocean, your twins wake up at 6 or 7 a.m. no matter what. Same thing I told Jackie with her, or not Jackie, who was that, with her 4-month-old? That was Jackie. Yeah, same thing I told Jackie. You got to get that daytime routine set up. And I know, Ocean, also your babies are waking up a lot at night and there's some nap things. I want you to first start with getting a good daytime routine set up, because that's really what's going to help you the best, Ocean, especially with twins. And I work with multiples a lot. The biggest life-saving tool I can tell you about is just to get them to have a coinciding routine where they're both eating around the same time and napping around the same time. Obviously, they're different people, and one's going to wake up and one's going to do this. But if you can attempt to get their bodies' rhythms in gear together, it's going to save your life. And it's going to hopefully get them to sleep later in the morning, because their bodies are not going to be all haphazard and out of whack. Because when they're napping at erratic hours, taking sometimes a 20-minute nap, sometimes a 5-hour nap, sometimes a nap is at this length, sometimes bedtime is here, then early rising is just kind of a symptom of having inconsistent daytime sleep. So I recommend for you, Ocean, really making sure that you can get a solid sleep, daytime, nap schedule set up. It's going to save you here, okay? And I see someone else wrote a question. I'm going to get to you in a second. Actually, I'll just answer you now. Jenny. Hi, Jenny. Okay, I have oh, my phone cut off your question. Okay, I have a 5-month-old who's waking every morning at 4:30. You've tried to push her to 6:30. It seems to have helped to push her a little, but now she's tired again 1 hour later at 7:30. So push her a little later than 6:30. Do you mean bedtime, Jenny? She's waking up at 4. Let me read this again. She's waking up. Sometimes this can be like a complicated math equation. Okay. So she's waking up in the morning at 4:30, and you've tried to push her to 6:30. Okay, that's what I'm wondering. Are you wondering if bedtime should be, you're trying to push to 6:30, or you're trying to get her to wake up at 6:30 in the morning? But if you wake her up at 6:30 in the morning, she's tired 1 hour later at 7:30. I think that's what you're trying to say. So waking up in the morning. Okay, sorry. I'm also, this coffee, look at this, it's like not even halfway finished. Until we get till about like here, you know, we're not like in that fresh zone. No, I'm just kidding. I just got confused. So yes, if you have a baby who is, you said, 5 months old, I would definitely stretch that wake time. If she's waking up, you want to stretch her so that way the daytime routine is consistent. But on the same token, you don't want to have her be awake from 4:30 till 7:30 or 8 a.m. every day. That's way past. A 5-month-old usually can't stay awake for longer than 2 hours, maybe 2.5. So I think you should do the same thing that I told Jackie with her 4-month-old. If your baby's waking up at 4:30, that is the middle of the night. Treat it as the middle of the night. Do your best to feed, rock, hold, pat, bounce, shake, whatever in the dark in a non-stimulating atmosphere to keep her sleeping. Okay, so I want you to do whatever you can. Now, if she doesn't fall back asleep, okay, we always try again the next day. But if she does fall back asleep, awesome. Make sure you wake her up the same time every day so it's consistent. Okay, you're starting to see patterns here, right? And when I'm repeating certain answers. But if she doesn't wake up, if she doesn't go back to sleep and she wakes up at 4:30 a.m. and despite all your efforts, she will not go back to sleep and she's awake and rising, you have to make sure that you don't miss that sleep window. She goes to sleep around 2 hours, but you slightly stretch it a little like I told her. So she's going to be falling on her face at 6:30 if she woke up at 4:30. Stretch it a little bit till 6:45-ish. And then the next nap, stretch that 2 hour window a little bit. So the goal is that she's waking up the same time every day, going to bed around the same time every day, and has a consistent nap routine structure, because inconsistency with babies under 1 year old not having a proper nap routine will cause early rising for sure, okay? So let me get back to this, and then I'm going to come back to some of the questions here. All right, Kara, not sure how to say your name. It's a beautiful name. Either way you pronounce it. You have a 4.5-year-old and a 15-month-old. Both like to start the day between 5 and 6 a.m. Oh my goodness. All of you deserve medals of like Mom of the Year, and you still get up with them and feed them and take care of them. It's not easy, okay? So they wake up happy and ready to go. You just wish it was later for sure. Let's see if you gave me any details. Your 15-month-old goes down around 6:30 or 7. Your 4.5-year-old goes down around 8:30. Okay, so 4.5-year-old, I think bedtime should be bumped a little earlier, just like I told Anne a few minutes ago. If your 4.5-year-old is going to bed at 8:30, which might even mean not falling asleep till 8:45 or 9, overtiredness, big red flashing lights is just causing him to wake up earlier. So I would bump bedtime a little earlier. Not drastically, but go from 8:30 to 8:15 to 8. So the goal is around, let's say, 7:45, 8 o'clock. But again, it's going to take a good few weeks to adjust to start seeing him sleeping later in the mornings. With your 15-month-old, is going to bed around, you wrote 6:30 or 7. That's a typically an okay bedtime. But I would see what's going on during the day. What's your nap structure like? A 15-month-old usually needs 2 naps during the day, totaling between the two of them of about, I'm going to be lenient here, let's say 3 hours. Okay, give or take. So if your 15-month-old is taking drastically more sleep than that, or drastically less sleep than that, then that's going to cause early rising. So many things can cause early rising, because it's just a big picture of sleep, and early rising is sometimes where it shows up the most. Just like, if a mother is sleep deprived and tired and not functioning, you might see her falling asleep doing other things. That's a symptom of the problem, right? The sleeping is not necessarily her issue. So the early rising is just the symptom that we see happening from things not being distributed properly. All right. Oh, you're here. 1 nap at daycare for 2 hours. When we're home, it's 2 naps for 1 hour each. What time are those naps, Kara? Tell me what time those naps are happening with your 15-month-old. I will wait because there's some delay. I'm sorry about the connection today. I have to fix this because last time I did it live, people also told me it wasn't working so well. Let me know, Kara, what time your 15-month-old is napping. 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. Okay. Yeah, so I would really recommend distributing those naps to be a little different. The reason she's going down at 9 a.m. is because she's exhausted and been up since 5. But I would try to stretch that first nap to be closer to 10 or 9:30 if you can, and have it be short. I want the first nap to be shorter with her because this is how we combat early rising. And I would try to have that first nap be around 9:30, 10 for under an hour for sure. 45 minutes, something like that. And then offer the big nap later on around 1-ish, and let that be the longer nap, and that will hopefully hold it all together. That's what I would recommend doing, but have it be consistent. If she's taking 1 nap for 2 hours at daycare and 2 naps for you on the weekends happen every 5 days. So that's really inconsistent. It's a constant back and forth with her sleep. It's making it really difficult. So make sure, more importantly than the nap structure, if let's say at daycare they say, no, we can't have her sleep twice. It doesn't work for us. There's too many other kids. We're giving lunch. We're giving that. Better, she should take the not ideal nap schedule and take it every single day than have it erratic. So either 2 naps every single day or 1 nap every single day, and make sure you mirror whatever they are doing at daycare. See if they can mold to the 2 naps is ideal, but like I said, if it's pick 2 naps on the weekends and 1 nap Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, better to have the 2 naps and have it be the same every single day. Okay, that's really important because, again, inconsistency. Okay, the daycare is set. So try to just push for that 1 nap when she's home because he's home. That's going to make the world of difference there. Okay, let's see. Shanti is not an early rising question. Okay, so like I said, Shanti, I'm not going to delve into this because I really want to stick to the questions in this thread because as you can see, we start talking about different ideas. But Shanti, I see people have been posting questions. I really want to be able to help all of you. So I'm going to start hopping in here hopefully another time once a week and just doing a Pick My Brain session. I will tag you when I decide to do that. I'll do a little announcement so that way you can come on in here, okay? But Shanti, just looking at this a little bit, 5 months, usually 5-month-old babies that are fighting sleep so much, it's a combination of having erratic daytime sleep, being overtired, nap structure, night waking, sleep dependencies. So go through and watch all the previous videos to try to catch up on what we've done so far, and then I'll hop in here and we can hash it out together. All right. That's me asking a question. all of you telling me that 11:30 worked better for you. Thank you so much. I'm going to try to make it more consistent. I'm just figuring out my schedule. This group is only a few weeks old anyway, and we're doing well. Okay, Anna. 17-week-old boy slept from 10:30 p.m. to 6 or 7 a.m. Nurse then slept until 10 a.m. consistently for 8 weeks. Any tips on getting him back on his routine, putting him down earlier? Okay, this is more of a newborn question. Again, I want to answer you, but I want to stick with the early rising thread here now. And if I have time after, I'll go through the comments. There's more in here and go through the other questions here. 2.5-year-old waking up at 4 a.m. Samantha, 2.5-year-old waking up at 4 a.m. at least once a week for a few months. Okay, so now you know what to do, Samantha. A, is your 2.5-year-old napping during the day? If yes, might be time to drop that nap. If not, then let's try to free-range bedtime. If your child's going to bed around 6:30 or 7, that's a pretty ideal time if your child's not napping. If your child's napping, let me know. We have to fix that a little bit. But if your child is not napping, going to bed around 6:37, could just be 6:37 till 4 a.m. It's not a lot of sleep, but your child could just be on the low end of averages. So what I would recommend doing is ever so slightly making bedtime a little bit later with the aim to have bedtime be 7:15-ish, 7:30. Nothing major. Don't suddenly keep your child up till 11. That's going to go haywire. Just slightly adjust it and see within a week or two's time if the internal clock begins to shift. If not, then you'll hop back on here and let me know so we can fix that. Okay, Tahila. I took your advice and tried to break the association of falling asleep. Okay, this is the sleep association question. All right, let's see. Let's go through these questions and see who else asked. And we will see. Okay. Oh, Yael, hi. I haven't spoken to you in a lot of years. How are you, my dear? Okay. Yes, we can ask questions. I just went through the whole thread here. So I'll start going through all the non-early rising questions and we'll see what we can do. What time is it? Yeah, we have plenty of time. Okay. Yael, you're on baby number 4, boy number 4. Okay, congrats. That's exciting. Your 11-month-old has 2 naps. Lately hasn't been sleeping well for each. So one is about 45 minutes to an hour. And has a wake time between 3 and 4 hours. Okay, all sounds good so far. He's been going to bed at 7 and waking up at 5 a.m. This is an early rising question, Yael. Don't think this is out. 5 a.m. is early, my dear. Okay, and he's in your room because of a temporary living situation. I nurse him, but he doesn't fall back asleep. His first nap is around 10. How long is his second nap? I don't know if you're still here, Yael. Let me scroll down so that way if you put your comment on, you can tell me. Want to know, Yael? What did I do? Help me. Technology doesn't like me. Okay. Yael, if he's waking up at 5 and you can't get him back down. He takes his first nap around 10 for 45 minutes. When is his second nap? Because what I would like to see happen is exactly what I just told someone else with their 15-month-old in an ideal nap routine. I would like to see him taking that second nap. If he's waking up at 10, sleeping, let's say, around 11, I'd like to see that second nap happening around 1:30 for a good hour and a half, 2 hours. If that second nap is also only 45 minutes to an hour, that is not enough day sleep for a baby under a year. Sorry, I'm sniffling. I still have this cold. That's not enough day sleep, Yael, for a baby under a year. He needs to be getting way more than that, at least another hour. So what I would tell you to do is extend his second nap. Oh, okay, bye. I'll just make him sleep longer magically. Right, I know what you're thinking. So what you can do is pay attention, Yael, to what time you're offering that second nap. The first nap I'm okay with. I wouldn't want you to make it earlier because then everything is going to get earlier. Stick with around the 9:30, 10 mark. But that second nap, if you see that he's already showing you signs of irritability, I'm guessing you're putting him down too late for that second nap. I don't know what time it's happening, but maybe you're waiting till 2 or to 2:30, and by then he's already at that point of no return. He's so overtired and exhausted. Waiting too long to put a child down will cause their naps to be short. So I recommend keeping your eyes on that second nap and seeing what time it's happening, because if you're offering it too late, that's going to cause it to be short, which is going to cause him to be overtired, which is going to cause him to wake up early. It's like a wheel hits the thing. My son just made one of these things called a Rube Goldberg. He's in 5th grade. He made fifth grade. He made this thing where the ball rolls down the chain, which hits the rope that hits the thing, and then eventually it opens a can of soda. It's the same thing with early rising. This causes this, causes this, causes this, and it's a vicious cycle. So let's get to the root of it. I want to see those naps happen, and I want to see Yael, your 11-month-old, sleeping a good at least 3 hours during the day. I don't want to just see a 45-minute nap in the morning and a 45-minute nap in the afternoon. Okay, any more questions here? No. So I'll go through the other questions here that are in the thread, because we have time, and we shall see what we can get to here. Let's see, who did I skip? Okay, I skipped Shanti, who I know even you had told me you had watched a lot of the previous videos. So You don't have an early rising question. That's okay. You have a 5-month-old. It's your second child. He goes down awake in his crib for every nap and naps 2 or 3 times a day for a good 2 hours each time. He eats well, goes to sleep, great bedtime, which is 8:30 or 9, coordinating with your older son. He'll then sleep about 12 hours, but he wakes up to eat so many times. He wakes up, sometimes he'll fall back asleep, sometimes he needs help, but he wakes up starving and will not calm down unless you feed him. Once he's eaten, he goes down, awake. Just skimming through this. On a good night, it will be like 1 in 5, but like tonight it's been every 3 hours. He eats well during the day. You're not concerned. But last night he was up at 11, 12, 5, 7 to eat. What is going on? Okay. So I've spoken about this a lot, Shanti. Habit and hunger are so correlated. And it sounds like your baby has trained his body to be hungry frequently. It's not going to magically self-correct unless you actually start taking the reins actively to help redistribute his habits. So if he's waking up on a bad night every 3 hours, tonight try to space them out to every 3.5 hours. Do that for a few nights. Then bump it to 4 hours. Then bump it to 4.5. Because you can't magically, even though you know that he could potentially, a baby his age can definitely go a good 7 to 9 hour stretch consistently if he's eating so well during the day and napping so well during the day. But his body has trained himself to be hungry, 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 hungry. So you have to start retraining his body to not be as hungry without just ripping the Band-Aid off and saying, sorry, scream it out, you're starving. That's not fair, and I don't think you do that. So start getting his body acclimated to lasting longer stretches with your help. 3 hours for 3-4 nights, 3.5 hours, 3 or 4 more nights, to 4 hours, 3 or 4 more nights, till eventually you get a good 5-6 hour chunk in there, and then you can figure out what his needs are based on that. Yeah, Al, you do your best when he needs less sleep, or maybe he's transitioning to one nap. Oh, we're back to that. No, yeah, 11 months is not ready for one nap. I wouldn't recommend it. Really wouldn't recommend it. I mean, I'm not saying it's unheard of. It does happen sometimes, but it is like very rare. I would jump to first redistributing the 2 naps because an 11-month-old is really young to be only having 1 nap. I don't like to see kids transitioning to 1 nap till they're close to 15 to 19 months, excuse me. All right. Anna, you asked a newborn question. 17-week-old slept. I'm just going to read this. You have a 17-week-old used to sleep from 10:30 p.m. to 6 or 7. First 8 weeks, he was going really well. 90% of the time, he wakes up crying. Okay, I'm going to post this below. A 17-week-old is what? 4, 8, 12, 6. That's like 4 months old. Okay, so 4 months old, again, most important thing is having a structured daytime routine. I know I'm saying this over and 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 over because it's so true. It is exactly what makes or breaks night sleep, is having a daytime routine. And it is the step that everyone ignores and the step that everyone forgets. People call me and they say, I've tried this method and I've tried Cry It Out and I've tried Ferber and I've locked my toddler in the room and I've done this. And if you're just trying to put a Band-Aid on the problem, we can't just put our children in boxes and say, well, I'm going to sleep train. I'm going to teach you how to sleep if we're not working with their natural rhythms first. It's a means to an end. I'm not saying getting your child on a perfect routine, it magically equals great night sleep, but it's a starting point that you can't ignore. And with a 4-month-old, you got to start there. So make sure you get a good routine set up so that way that can work well. Okay, I think I went through all the questions here. I'm happy to help if any of you want to talk about any of this in more detail. I don't have that major special I was running at the end of December where all my sleep services were 50% off. I don't have that anymore, but I always have specials running. I always have certain things going on. So if you want to discuss in more detail my different sleep services, how I can help you, definitely click the link. As soon as I'm done with this video, I'll put a link to my calendar above to set up a sleep success call with me where I walk you through my system and what I do with my clients one-on-one. And also, you should just know, I'm really excited. I'm in the midst, it's almost finished, it'll be finished by tomorrow actually, with a new program that I'm created. It's called the Rested Moms Club, and I'll let you all know about it more when it's up and dated. And it's basically going to be going through my entire system of what I do start to finish individually with each single family for every single age. And you can access it. There'll be slideshows, courses. We'll have another private Facebook group, but in there I'm going to be popping in every single day to answer your questions and help you. And it's a really affordable option people are excited about. So I'll be letting you know about that. You can email me if you want to hear more details because my email list has already been hearing about it a little, but I'll definitely let you all know too. I'm going to discuss it in some webinars, but until then, if you're interested in getting some sleep now and you don't want to wait, please click my calendar link that I will set up above. It's batyathebabycoach.com/sleep for those of you who are on now and I didn't yet post it, and we can set up a time to talk and I can walk you through all my sleep services. Are you able to go through the other early rising thread? Is there another early rising thread, Allah? What do you mean? This is the only place where I'm answering the questions here, because this is where you should post if you want me to answer. And I'm putting this here again so you can see Ala. This is where these threads that we post on Mondays, ask your questions about, that's the place. But I think I know what you mean, because I think I saw you post there when I told everyone when I was coming. So let me see. Yes, I was right. That's where you wrote your comment. But in general, Ala, if you have a question on the thread, put it in that thread. All right, let's see. Ala, what did you write here? Okay, your 5-year-old goes to bed between 6 and 6:30, and your soon-to-be 7-year-old goes to bed between 7:15 and 7:45. You wake them up at 6:20 so that we can get ready for school. How many hours of sleep do they need? Also, I find on weekends they're up early, like 7 a.m. Can early rising be extended on weekends? By the way, I've been staggering bedtime as for your previous recommendation. What a difference. Thank you. So happy. Staggering bedtime is what it's all about, right? We make bedtime stressful. People want to know why bedtime is stressful. We do it, okay? Our kids don't naturally feel this like dark cloud of impending doom when bedtime comes. So I'm really happy that helps you. It's my savior, along with many other things. But that I find is just so helpful when you have a handful of kids and a house full of kids and you want to be there for them and connect to them. Okay, I'm not getting on a tangent. I'm happy. Okay, so let's answer your question. By the way, on Friday and Saturday nights, they go later and wake up at the same time. Meant to say go to bed later. I know you even didn't get robbed. Okay, so what I would say, Ala, is you're waking your children up every single day at 6:20 a.m. to go to sleep. So if you know, because they have to get off to school and that's the time that has to work, and you're waking them up, waking a child up and rousing them from a deep sleep at this age, okay? I do tell you at certain times to wake babies up when we're doing things. I'm saying at this age, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old. When you're waking them up, they're constantly being woken in the middle of a deep sleep cycle. So what I recommend doing is just to make your schedule work, make their bedtime earlier so that way you don't have to every single morning be waking them up because that's not fair to them, and I'm sure you feel awful. They're tired in the morning. Try to bump their bedtimes to be a little earlier. Nothing major, not an hour, but maybe 20 minutes here, 30 minutes there, just to help them so that way even if you still have to wake them up, you're not rising them from this like deep sleep, which could cause them to be not as, attentive in school, not in the best mood in the morning. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, Ala, is definitely, they're just like I keep telling you, it's really important that kids' bodies are very consistent. You can't magically expect every 5 days on the weekends that they'll sleep later because it's kind of like what you're setting up to make it happen. So unfortunately, if you're having early mornings during the week, you're going to probably have early mornings during the weekend. And trying to mess with it and extend it and work really hard Thursday night through Sunday night to have it be, it's just going to mess with their internal clock. Just try to be consistent every single day and, try to reward them if they don't wake you up in the morning. My kids know on the weekends, I sleep in, oh my gosh, do I sleep in. Saturday mornings, I don't get out of bed till like 9:45. Seriously, I don't, okay? Because I get sleep during the week, and I get my 8-9 hours, but I'm tired, right? I work full time, I've got a lot of kids, I'm cooking, I'm cleaning, I'm driving, I'm carpooling, I'm tired. So my kids wake up the same time every day. Sometimes they sleep a little later. My older ones already are, I'm starting, they're getting older, but that's another story because they actually qualitatively need more sleep. But I'm saying the younger batch, they know not to wake up mommy, and I have like the most delicious, special, yummy yogurts and candies and breakfast things that they know they get for not waking me up. So there's different ways to make sure you can still get your sleep, Ollie, even if they're sleeping. Okay, so they get home at 5 and they have so much homework. Okay, so I get that, trust me. I spend hours of homework a night with all my kids too. Just do your best to stagger it. I'm not saying it has to be so much longer. Just try to make it a little bit earlier so you're not having to rise them from such a deep sleep. Maybe, I don't know when you start homework. Maybe you let them unwind for a while. Maybe give them their special school snack while they're having homework. In my house, my kids come home ravenous. Like you'd think they didn't eat the whole day in school. They come home like hungry lions. My littler kids get home at 3, and then I have some kids who come home at 4, some kids who come home at 4:30. I have like a lot of kids over here, and it gets really crazy. So everyone I have like a fresh snack when they walk home because literally they come home like bears. They're like, starving, what's for food, mommy? And they're like, God forbid if I don't have something ready. So they come and they eat their snack and they do their homework right away with their snack. And I hate homework personally, but I find when we just get it out of the way, we have such a less stressed evening because then we can hang out, we can eat dinner, we can bond instead of like, did you do your homework? 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 So I don't make them, but the kids know that when they do their homework, they get that yummy snack and it's just easier. So how many hours of sleep do they need? Yeah, I know they come home so hungry, right? I think it's just the nature of the game. But how many hours of sleep they need? Most 6 to 7-year-olds on average need between 10 and a half to 11 and a half hours of sleep usually at night. give or take. So that's why I'm telling you to maybe bump bedtime a little earlier. They're not crazy off, but I don't, it's not pleasant to feel like you're always having to wake your kids up and rise them from such a deep sleep. Okay, I think you asked one more question, Ala. You also have a 6-week-old, an 8-week-old. Congrats. Okay, so you've got 3 kids. Please tag me when you have your newborn thread. Okay, I will, about newborn threads. But what I want you to do is, I've posted this before. I wrote something for whattoexpect.com, 7 newborn sleep secrets I swear by. I'll post this again under here so you can look at that. I think Jenny asked a question also. Yeah. Thank you for this. Just a quick question. How many times should a 5-month-old wake up to feed during the night? I want time in the AM wake up time. We get off schedule during the night. Jenny. Okay, so this is assuming your 5-month-old is gaining weight properly during the day, getting good naps during the day, getting enough sleep during the day, things are on schedule, all the checks above. A 5-month-old can go a good, it's so broad, but most 5-month-olds can go a good 6 to 9 hours, really 8 to 9. That means not that your nighttime is that long. That means in the 12-hour span of what we call night, waking up once to eat. And we try to time that before you go to sleep, by the way. So that way you can feed baby and you both get that good 8-9 hour chunk. Some 5-month-olds need to eat twice. It's 50-50. I can't tell you without doing more detailed evaluation, but definitely hit me up if you want to talk about it more in the calendar link that I have above. I think that's it. Does anyone else have any more questions for me? That is it. Okay. So like I said, we have these weekly threads with a theme, and now you see why I do it, because we just have kind of a common denominator. I start talking about this, and then it leads me to talking about that, which goes to the next question. I hope even those of you who maybe have early rising issues but didn't post your questions will still learn from this, because it's going to help you so much, all right? But I want to help all of you, and I can't necessarily go, and please always post your questions. My assistant was in a little telling you, I'll post in the Monday, but I'm going to try to come in again also in just a random time a week and pick my brain, but I will let you know when that's happening for all of you who don't have a question happening exactly on this theme, because you're all here to get sleep, and I want you to get sleep, and I want to help you. But like I said, those of you who want more intense help, or you want to learn more about my sleep services, click the link above. We can set up a sleep success call to talk about it, but otherwise stay tuned for all these lives that we do and everything else. Have an amazing Wednesday. Take care.